Multifamily is one of those markets in real estate that it ebbs and flows like everybody else, but there will more or less always be a market for apartments. And right now, given the housing situation, the housing market, presently it's cheaper to rent than it is to buy a house right now. Interest rates are crazy. Down payments are through the roof. Financing is really hard to get a hold of. Even if there is financing, you're just still going to be priced out potentially of buying a house. It's wild. I haven't seen this in my lifetime, but we are in a real estate cycle. So that being said, if you are someone who's investing in real estate, whether it's your first time buying multifamily or you're looking into multifamily, there's three main things that I'm going to go over in this video that you should consider, think about, do your research on before you go into multifamily, or let's say you buy your next apartment building. And the first one is location, location, location. That is like the main thing of real estate. The age-old tale or saying, you make your money when you buy. Location is extremely important. And one of the things that you can help figure out what your next location is, or a good location, is keeping track of the things that the government is doing, like federally. In my newsletter, in one of my newsletters, I talked about how there are 31 tech hubs that President Biden has set aside because we are now onshoring again a lot of our manufacturing jobs. You want to look at those areas because that's where jobs are going to be. Main things for location, keeping in mind rent controlled areas. Like Los Angeles will always have a market for renters, but there's drastic amounts of restrictions. And more cities within Los Angeles are adding rent control. So outside of being mindful of stepping into an area that has rent control, you want to look for areas that have, job growth, like jobs are going there, maybe new plants are being built there. So you want to buy in the way of that path. You want to be mindful of locations that have public transportation around them. So they have, metro hubs, bus lines that go near it. That's always very helpful. You want to be near shopping centers, parks, recreation areas, healthcare facilities. Those are the kind of locations that you want to be looking at when you're considering, the location of maybe your next apartment buy. Another thing is the conditions of the apartment. If you can, as much as you can, do your due diligence in trying to find some sort of public records on the building. Whether it's building department records or if it's rent controlled, maybe there's property inspection report records. You want to figure out how old the roof is, how old the plumbing is, and how old the electrical is, because those are three major sources of landlord headaches. If the roof leaks, it's going to cause problems. If the plumbing is shot, you're going to have nonstop maintenance requests. The sink doesn't work, the toilet doesn't work, things are backing up, that's going to be a revolving door. And then electrical, things shorting out, circuits shorting, breakers going bad. Those are three things that you want to look at and be mindful of, that if any one of those three are shot, all three of them are shot, they all need some upgrades. You're going to want to keep that in mind when you're buying the apartment, that's something, if they're not up to date, they're not new, that you might have to budget for and address in the future. Other things you would want to look at would just be the general wear and tear of the property, keeping in mind what the units look like, if any unit's been rehabbed. Curb appeal is a big one. If the walkways, the sidewalks, things like that, if they are broken, if there's bumps in them, if the tree, a lot of times tree stumps or tree roots, not stumps, will uproot the walkway. So things like that, those are trip hazards, which are insurance hazards. So those are the kind of things that you want to be mindful of. A lot of apartments are older. So people who are buying apartments, they're usually buying existing apartment buildings, or not buying typically brand new apartment buildings. Just the condition of the property, that as much as a property might look good because it meets all of the location factors, building itself, you want to take that into consideration. Ongoing maintenance is one of the variable costs that can more or less sink an investment. And the last thing that I think isn't talked about a lot or kind of gets glossed over, it has nothing really to do with the bottom line, the numbers, all the million formulas that exist for calculating if you should or should not buy an apartment. It's having the team. So if you're going to buy an apartment building, you want to have an attorney or a law firm that you are familiar with that can answer questions in case an issue comes up that you want to address correctly. in case there's a need to do lease enforcement, evictions. You want to have a law firm that's specifically familiar with various aspects of landlord-tenant. Now, there might be a law firm that only does one aspect of it and another law firm that does a different aspect. Like some law firms only do evictions, some law firms only do landlord-tenant disputes and don't handle evictions. So you want to figure out, at least one law firm or a few law firms that you can have as resources. Another one is having a property manager. If you're not self-managing, which most people who buy apartments are usually not self-managing, they have a property management company. You want to make sure that you have a good property manager that you trust and is doing what they need to be doing, responsive, giving you your owner reports, etc. Want a mortgage broker. Mortgage brokers are really important to have. Some people know quite a few of them. Some have like one mortgage broker. Some people have a mortgage broker who specializes in single family residences or conventional loans, some that specialize in multifamily, some that specialize in, industrial, warehouse, office, other types of commercial real estate. So you want to have, a mortgage broker familiar with multifamily who understands what banks are looking for and what financing is looking like. They'll have a better understanding of how your credit's going to impact your application. They're going to have a feel or edge on what's going on with interest rates, if they're dropping, if they're going up, what banks are doing, how they're financing, what they're wanting, where they're being strict, where they're being more lenient. You want to have a good mortgage broker who has their pulse on that. Financing is literally like the number one component of buying multifamily is like having the financing in the first place. You want to have a contractor. Handymen are important. That's kind of a given, but handymen might very well come if you have a property manager. You usually have access to their vendors, but you yourself might want to have a contractor that you know or that you trust. In the event that something big happens, there's a big repair that needs to go on, like I said, maybe one of those huge capital improvements like a roof or the plumbing or electrical, you're going to want to have a vendor, a contractor for that. Maybe a specific plumber, specific electrician, maybe a general contractor that's familiar with all, to be able to confide in when huge issues come up, or maybe pay them to look at something if you feel like you don't know if you got an estimate, if it's good or bad. You might want to have like a confidant contractor for that. They can also probably come in, look at things and tell you, hey, you might want to address this now before it becomes a problem later. Good to have a contractor. Real estate agent. A lot of people don't have like a real estate agent. Real estate agents call everybody. Everybody knows that. Some people have like the real estate agent and that's who they go with. That's their trusted real estate agent. It's good to have one who's familiar with multifamily, but also in the area that you want to buy. So your real estate agent who knows about South LA apartments might know nothing about apartments in Burbank. So that might not be your guy. And if you're looking outside of where you're at, maybe you're looking at different states, you're gonna wanna maybe through networking, through asking agents, if they know someone in this area that you're looking to buy in. Because you're gonna want someone familiar with that local area. And as much as real estate agents know a lot, they really do tend to niche in a geographic location, and within that location they will niche in the product, either single family residence, high-end single family residence, entry-level single family residence, multifamily, fourplexes and less. Like we only do warehouses and industrial, we only do office. Some of them just might very well specialize in a very specific area. Like Los Angeles is huge, so people go, I know the South LA market, I know the South Bay market, I know the Glendale, Pasadena market, Glendale, Pasadena, Burbank market. Within that, they might only know one of those. So you want a real estate agent very familiar with the area you're buying in, or you want to buy in, or you're looking in. And then another thing is you want to get in touch with an apartment association in that area. So Los Angeles has, they have AGLA, they have AOA. Those are the local associations that I'm familiar with in Los Angeles. So they tend to have a lot of articles on what's going on. They have articles on what laws are going into effect, what's changing. They usually have forms, templates, things like that. They also have access to a lot of vendors. So if you were to go look in, maybe Austin, Texas, and you want to buy an apartment there, whatever part of Austin, Texas you're looking at, you might want to see if there's an apartment association there. You might want to contact them, and they might have a lot of the very vendors that I'm talking about. They might have a registry of, mortgage brokers, real estate agents, contractors, property managers, law firms. You want to be able to kind of build a team in that. And you could have someone that you're, let's say you're from LA, but you're looking to go out, outward. Your team may very well know what it's like in other states, or they might have connections to people in other states that could help you, in your due diligence process of finding that team. But that is very important. And for a lot of people, buying real estate, buying, multifamily, that might not be like they probably have a day job and they're taking their money and diversifying it. So having the team is what's going to help you mitigate a lot of the risks, a lot of the unknowns, and like just the anxiety of like stepping into something that you know nothing about or wanting to change. Like, let's say you've had real estate and you're thinking like, hey, I want to go into multifamily, but I don't want to do it where I'm at. I'm looking at other markets. It's good to have, a team that you trust that you can go, hey, I'm looking here. And they'll probably be honest because you're a client and help you. Yeah, you know what? Let me help you. Let me see if I can get some connections. I'll get back to you. And that's just like one of those things that's really relieving. And I've seen clients that kind of don't have that, and it really puts them at a disadvantage because it's like more or less starting from scratch, or they make mistakes because they just don't know, because they go, I just didn't know an attorney that handled this. Or I just didn't know like a property management company that could help me, that, would be able to address all these things. So I've been doing it myself and I'm stressed, I'm taxed, and I, have a day job. Those are the 3 most important things to me that have to do with multifamily if you're looking to buy, even if you're, a seasoned multifamily person, or, you're someone who has maybe like a duplex or a triplex and you're thinking about getting something bigger. Those are 3 things. If you take those into consideration, really sit down and work on them, study them, will drastically help you going forward. If you liked this video, you might also like my video that I did on value add opportunities and explaining that a little bit more. I also have a weekly newsletter with landlord news, so you might want to, the link for that will be below. You get it every Sunday. It's free, and I like to think very helpful. That being said, thank you for checking out my video. Like and subscribe if you so wish, and I will see you in the next one.